and then we're going to check to see if in the middle of the rope the sagitta has like been decreased. If it is, then we know that the Earth is round. If it's completely, equal height all the way through, we know the Earth is flat. So it is a action that tests the hypothesis that the Earth is flat.
The shape of Earth doesn't fall in the scientific method, man. Even Jem knows that.
Yes, it does.
Even
Stop
Jem
trying to tell us. First of all, if Jim and I were in a debate about what counts as science, I don't trust me. He would defer to me, not vice versa. Like Jim is not the answer, the end all be all of authority. What are you talking about? People in here have tons and tons of experience in science and doing experiments, and your ideas about what these things are defined as is dead wrong. Always, not always, mostly. But the hypothesis. What do you think hypothesis is?
Jeremy, you're hypothesizing that the Earth is flat. It's that simple.
I mean, all it is a statement about the nature of the world that you want to test. That's it. Anything you say about the world that may or may not be true, that you're going to try to figure out, is a hypothesis.
Would it work
I don't think so.
Oh, Jeremy doesn't think so.
Based on what, Jeremy? Based on what exactly? You don't think so, based on what?
Well, we don't have an observed phenomena, so you don't have a dependent variable for starters.
I said,
so
what's your hypothesis? We're talking about a hypothesis, Jeremy. You said, I don't think so after I gave you the definition of hypothesis. Why do you not think so about my definition?
Because we didn't do step one, so what's going to be our dependent variable in our hypothesis?
The hypothesis does not have to include a dependent variable.
It needs the cause and effect. See, that's our problem. You don't think science does cause and effect.
Jeremy,
cause and effect.
It can do cause and effect,
but
that's not exclusively. That's not exclusively what it does. And not all hypothesis statements have to be this if IV then DV QE kind of statement.
Those exist. They're just not the only thing that exist. Anytime you're saying something about the world that may or may not be true that you'd like to test, you're creating a hypothesis. I mean, all you really have to do to confirm this is look up the word. Look it up in scientific dictionaries, look it up in normal dictionaries. Everywhere you look it up is going to confirm what I'm saying.
Think of it like this, Jeremy. What are you actually trying to do with this experiment, mate?
He's trying to tickle his balls and test the reaction from my balls.
Really nice guy.
Definitely not doing that.
Okay, I'll stop.
We're going to see if the sagitta is there or not.
Why would that be of interest to you?
Seriously? Because if it's not there, then what do you think?
I don't know. You told me I'm asking for a reason.
You guys have
you think it'll tell you something?
Was this a force in the line?
Not bending.
Is this a force the line thing?
It doesn't matter. It is a force line thing, but that's not what we're talking about right now.
Right. Just wondering. No,
we're talking about the definition of hypothesis.
All right, fair enough.
So I just put two definitions. One's from the OED, one's from the scientific dictionary. Like, what I don't understand about you, Jeremy, it's fine that you believe that. It's fine that you disagree with a lot of things. What I don't agree with is why do you get stubborn about things in which we give you evidence for, like this, like two definitions that you have no experience with. You have no real reason to just insist is not true. Why in the world would you take such a stubborn, childish position of I just disbelieve you? I mean, why would you not accept the evidence?
Come on, guys. It's a
valid question, Babs.
I'll tell you why. Scott. Because
no, I don't want to hear. I don't want to hear excuses to insult him. I just want to hear why he would really do that, because he does it all the time, and I don't understand. It's like I get that you have this belief, and I get that you can maintain that belief, but why not? But why be so disingenuous when you have this evidence here? Why not say, "Oh, okay, I guess I was wrong by hypothesis"? Like, just do that.
Yo, Jeremy. We don't have to do this anymore. We don't need to argue about terms and definitions. the terms that Scott is referring to are used not colloquially. They have different meanings in a scientific context. So it's silly to have an argument about like fallacies or.
Babs, one of my definitions comes from a scientific dictionary. So yeah, I'm aware of that. And yes, I took care of that already.
Oh no, I'm just explaining it to Jeremy because I didn't know if he was aware of it or not. I know that you're fully aware.
He was. I just told him that. You must have just got here like 2 seconds ago.
I did just get here 2 seconds ago.
Okay, well, so maybe just give the lay of the land for a second.
Yeah, shut the fuck up and let Jeremy talk.
Really? Guys.
No, nice guy. That's not needed. Dude. Like, that's not needed. It's like,
yeah, that's not needed. Nice guy.
We don't have to do this, guys.
You're being nice to me yesterday. Like, where's all this hate coming from?
We don't have to get bogged down in the insults, guys.
Okay.
Yeah, like let's just not do them at all. Like
I'm sorry. I apologize. I'm sorry, guys. Things up a little bit, you know. It was a joke. It wasn't really.
Yeah, but
moving swiftly on. Moving swiftly on.
So,
my question is aggressive, Jeremy, but but it is a real question. I'm legitimately asking you, with respect. Why do you never just say, "Oh, I guess I have that wrong about hypothesis"? I can accept that.
Fine, it's a hypothesis. Whatever you want to think about it, I don't even care. We're already bogged down, Wazzy.
Bogged down.
We're only bogged down because you refuse to admit any. Hold on, Waz. We're only bogged down because you refuse to be reasonable about anything. And your answer there was, by the way, obviously not a real answer. It was a "fuck you, Scott," which is okay. I guess you're just not going to answer. But the last thing I'll say on the whole subject is I think it's a legitimate question, and I think it's not really reasonable for you to not answer it.
Bro, if you want to think it's a hypothesis, that's fine. I don't think you have step 1, which is the first step. So you're moving on to step 2. Like I don't think it's a hypothesis based on that alone. How do we have a hypothesis? We didn't do step 1.
What's your
In
step
what
1,
definition of hypothesis does it say you need a step 1?
Are we not doing the scientific method? This is just not a scientific endeavor.
Yeah, but a hypothesis is a element of the scientific method. The scientific method is not the definition of a hypothesis, right? You see, it's like what a hypothesis is has nothing to do with where it fits in your idea of the scientific method. It's just a standalone thing. Like pull it out of the scientific method. What is that part? Number 2. What is number 2? What's the definition of what a hypothesis is?
Yeah, but we're on a step 2 before we did step 1.
It's okay. We're talking about the definition of the word. Like, just what does it mean to have a hypothesis? You're just telling me you can't think about that unless you have an observed phenomenon to go with it. And by the way, an observed phenomenon could be anything. So make it whatever you want. We have observed that we have a disagreement about the word hypothesis. There's number 1. I mean, I don't understand. Is it soft? I mean, are you legitimately trying to hold this position, or can you really not see how just reasonable would be to say, okay, let's talk about the definition. Oh yeah, okay, I see those ones you have. Here's what I think it is, and here's why I think those are wrong, or anything like that. Anything like a reasonable intellectual conflict would present. Instead, you just sort of ignore it.
So what are your steps, Jeremy? I'm curious to hear what
you have. You don't want to go over hypothesis more?
Oh fuck!
Let's just presume you don't have one.
What good does it do?
Let's just presume in your head you don't have one. What have you got planned?
Brian, you're right there.
We're just gonna pull the string. It's got to sag because it'll be, if it sags, you know, it can't be buoyant at all. That way, if it sags, it's definitive. Oh, Stone wants to interject. What's up, Stone?
Are you
Stone,
still
saying? I
talking
hear you.
about the line experiment that's been going on for like?
Yes, I'm talking about the thing Waz just asked me about.
Jeremy, how are you going to be a leader in your army, Jeremy, if you let people distract you?
I know. Well, this is like on the mic over the internet. We can't really. I can't control Stone. Can you guys?
Oh, now he's got to put it off on me.
Don't play the fool me, Jeremy. Just play on, mate.
what the
Yeah,
hypothesis.
just focus on Waz's point, and then you guys can pursue it. And
So, anyways, if it sinks,
Scott.
if you use line that sinks, it favors the globe. Like there has to be X amount of depth more than the line that was on the ends in the middle. Like say each line is 1 foot underwater on either end. In the middle, it has to be, you know, a calculated amount deeper depending on how long the line is. So sag only helps you guys. You know, if it was buoyant and that X amount of depth wasn't there, you could say, oh, the line's buoyant, it's floating. You know what I mean? If the line sags, though, then there's no excuse.
I'm gonna try to represent your experiment on paint. I'm gonna try to draw it so people can have a good grasp and visualization of your own experiment, because I don't understand it yet. So what kind
I
of
drew it on the
phenomenon?
whiteboard.
Jerry,
Oh,
flat
whiteboard.
Earth isn't
I just
real.
posted a picture of it. It's kind of sideways, but
Not
It's fine, I can
real.
fix this. So what type of phenomenon you're trying to observe and study to determine whether the Earth is flat or curved?
yeah. What's a sagita for 2 miles? 8 inches?
What?
The bulge, the sagitta in 2 miles, is it 8 inches?
You mean the drop rate?
Nope.
I don't know.
I don't know. These guys.
There is a
know.
way of working that out, Jeremy. I'm not sure what it is, but I'm sure if you Google it, you'll find ways of
I
calculating.
think it's 8 inches. Somebody told me it was 8 inches.
Hey, Jeremy, what is your reason for all the pictures from NASA and everything? What is the reason from all
Whoa, man!
That's a
Yard
huge
dog.
leap in
Why is
points.
that not evident?
That's a fair question, Stone, but it's right out there, mate.
Yes.
It's what?
It's right
Well,
out
Sure
there.
is
a little off
It's a fair.
topic.
It's a fair question, but it's right out there.
what does right out there mean?
I don't understand what right out there means.
Well, I mean, we're talking about this line underwater,
It's off
and then we're
topic.
going to pictures
Yeah,
of
it's off
space.
topic.
But it is because he's trying to do an experiment for which we have all this other much easier information and much easier evidence to find.
Do you have anything that's
You're right.
tangible? Well, hold on. Do you have anything that's tangible and not optical?
Like right out
You're
there,
not-
it's like means like
Tangible,
pie in
not
the
Do you have
sky.
anything
It's fucking
non-optical?
pie in the
Use
sky.
the words you know,
What's
Jeremy.
Do you have any,
Oh,
any
You're not wrong, but
tangible
we're doing baby
physical
Just
steps.
off
things?
what's not optical?
what?
Name something that's not optical.
This thing with the fishing lines. I mean, you have to look at the tape measure in the middle.
Oh,
but
you do? Well, that was weird. So does that make it optical?
optical from 5 inches away from your face. Do you have anything that's
So maybe you mean
short?
something different. You must mean something different than not optical then, because optical, it's all optical.
Do you have anything that's not long range optical?
Oh, okay. That makes sense.
Long distance, however you want to phrase it. No.
What do you mean? Do you have any pictures that are real close to
Do you
the
have any-
Earth that show the spherical?
Yeah. Do you have any non-long range optical things? Some short range optical things. Let's say
Non-long range.
less than 2 feet. Yeah, less than 2 feet.
Do I? I'm sorry, I'm missing the question.
Do you have anything
Okay,
non?
well, can we put this on pause and go back to what Waz?
Well,
Waz was
do you-
in the middle of the thing.
Yeah,
Hold
Let's
on,
let
you
Waz
kind of-
finish his thing, and then let's come back.
Well, hold on. If you guys already have something like this, maybe we could just skip this.
We don't. We don't have anything that's 2
All
feet
right,
away like you want.
that's-
So
yeah.
I was
Is
kind of
that even
curious about the
possible?
underwater line, the underwater fishing line. How are you going to do this? I mean, how long's the line? How are you going to ensure that it's, straight along the path that you want it to be? And how are you going to measure the sagitta? Are you going to measure
Sorry.
upwards to the surface of the water? I don't quite get how it's all going to work.
You get a tape measure. You go to the middle, right? Okay, you got each line under. It only needs to be underwater, like 2 inches, really. on either side because it's going to drop in the middle. So
How long is it going to be?
I mean, 2 miles would be nice. That's only an 8-inch sagita, so that's not really a lot of wiggle room. I'd like to do 3 miles because then you got a bigger sagita, but it's tough. But yeah, you just go to the middle. You know, you pull it tight underwater. You have it the same distance on either side. Then you go to the middle, and there has to be a calculated amount of drop there. Whatever it be, if it's 2 miles, it needs to be whatever you had
Calculated
it
from what though?
from your globe model.
I still don't understand how you're going to get the amount of drop from what reference point.
I don't even know like what type of material you are planning to use for this fishing line thingy.
Maybe your question is probably more important than mine. Go ahead.
No, they're both important.
you say,
different
Waz?
questions. It
Waz,
just
what'd you say?
No, well, not Nice Guy has bigger questions than I do. I'm just trying to get the simple stuff covered, but you know he's got bigger ones.
Let's
So
keep
maybe
it simple.
we should defer to Nice Guy.
No, go answer Wu's question, please. Please don't. I don't want any bad relationship with the Wuz.
Yeah, Waz is a fucking
Then
man.
why don't you shut the fuck up for a minute?
I'm sorry.
Go ahead, Waz.
Okay.
I'm sure you're not.
Fuck.
So from what reference point are you going to get this drop that you may or may not be expecting to see?
I mean, the reference point. We're gonna go right to the middle of it. What do you mean?
And measuring tape from what to what to from where to
Oh,
where?
the top of the water to the line.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Yeah.
Fuck's sake, it's 2
what-
minutes to get that simple one-word answer out. Jesus Christ.
And are you going to ensure that the top of the water is? Oh, look, mate, it's getting too complicated. Don't you see that?
Why is it getting too complicated?
Because you
Well, I
make it
mean,
really
there's
complicated.
because
You're gonna
there's
have
a
a
lot
tape
of
measure.
minor details that could go wrong, and how are you going to account for all the little variances, etc., if there are any? How are you going to know if there are any?
I mean, it's gonna be
the
complicated.
water's not going
Okay.
to be still, is it?
Yeah, oh yeah, absolutely. You need still water.
Yeah, how are you going to get that?
You're not gonna go to an ocean or something and try to do this with the waves.
No, that's what I'm saying, mate. How are you going to get still water for that length? How many? 2 miles, did you say?
Yeah, at least 2 miles, maybe more.
Okay, so stay on point. You heard my question, or do you need me to repeat it?
About the water moving, I mean, we're gonna use still water.
Yeah,
And
how
now
are you going to
maybe-
ensure it's still for a start? I mean,
Oh.
you only got by your reckoning 2 inches to play with. I mean, that's not a lot.
No, you got 8 inches with the 2 mile.
Yeah, 2 inches is not a lot to play with.
It's more than it's not 2 inches. It's 2 miles makes an 8-inch sagita.
Okay, sorry, I said 2. I mean,
would you rather play with 8 inches? Was
How many inches
depends
do
who
you
you're
need?
asking. Perhaps depends who you're asking.
When you say that you has to match the model exactly, does that mean if it deviates at all from flat, like if it goes down at all, that model is now debunked, or
No,
are you saying that it has
absolutely
to?
not.
Oh, okay. So if it goes down 7 inches or 6 inches, is that acceptable, or does it have to be 8 inches?
That'd be tough if it was like 7 inches, because I mean we're gonna have sag on the line. So
Well, no, you could have actually buoyancy also.
Yeah, this doesn't.
So you don't know.
We're using line that sinks. We're not using buoyant line.
Oh God, then you're going to definitely have sag.
What's the advantage of being underwater compared with over the ground?
Oh God, that's silly.
You get rid of a lot of the weight of the line because things are lighter in water.
So you can use buoyancy. You can introduce buoyancy to muddy the waters even further.
No,
you're going to get sag
sink.
on the surface, and that's inevitable.
The line's going to sink.
Well, then you've not got rid of the weight issue.
What's the problem?
You said the advantage of doing it underwater is you get rid of the problem of weight, and now you've
I
just
never
said
said that.
it's going. Okay, I'll
That's a
go back
different
to the question. Try and listen to all the words in the question. What is the advantage of doing this experiment under the water rather than over the water?
It lightens the weight of the line. We don't get rid of. We're not getting rid of the weight of the line or whatever you just said. We're lightening the weight.
How
of
much
it.
does
It's
it
gonna be
lighten the
lighter.
weight? How much does it lighten the weight? How much?
I don't have
Lightning-
any math. Are things lighter?
Very much. Very
each
much.
ask me a question. Time for 3 people to speak up.
Lightening the line is not,
Yes,
not
Jeremy. That's how you
removing
do
the
it.
weight. Then is that lightening the line is not the same as removing the weight? Then is that right?
Sorry, I'm sure
That's-
Jeremy was asked a question by Veach. I'm sure that's.
I don't even remember
It's
what
okay,
Veach
it's okay,
asked me.
it's okay.
Say it again.
Come on, it's
Veach.
okay,
How
it's okay.
much?
Keep,
Said
no,
how
it's okay.
much?
Continue on, continue on. Bummy, stay out of it, okay? I will too.
I don't have the math or whatever for how much it's gonna lighten the weight of the rope.
What are
We
you
can
even
help you.
think tanking?
Go figure.
Well, just let whoever's talking finish with it.
Leave Jeremy alone.
Rummy, just let people finish what they're
Rummy.
talking. Hey. I don't know who it is who's asking questions, but do you have a follow up?
He's just trying to harass. He's just trying to harass me.
Who?
I guess not.
He's not harassing you, Jeremy.
Jeremy,
Jeremy,
whoever
you're
is
asking
not speaking up,
point
so somebody else can take over.
Jeremy, I commend
You're
you, man.
asked
Like, I
point
don't know how
blank
you
about
deal with
buoyancy,
these
Jeremy.
guys,
You
man.
denied buoyancy. And then you were asked what the purpose of putting it in the water is, and that's to lighten the line. By what effect does it lighten the line, Jeremy? By
He's
buoyancy.
straw manning you, Jeremy. Straw manning you.
So what are you talking about?
Shut up, Brummy.
It's relative density, but
Actually, I
But
have a
Jeremy,
nice
it
experiment.
is by buoyancy that the line is lightened, as you put it.
you say it's buoyancy. I say it's relative density.
No, the world
Same
says
thing,
it's
right.
fucking buoyancy.
Well, whatever you guys call it, the problem is that if you don't know how much effect you're getting, what good does it do to do it this way? You're not solving your problem with sag. I mean, if you had like a perfectly buoyant line, maybe you could make an argument that it made sense, but you're going to have sag. And if you have sag, you don't know what your results are going to be. You're going to get results that you can't trust. You're going to be like, well, how much does the sag is there? I don't know. A 2-mile line is a lot of rope. How are you going to keep that taut? You're not going to keep it taut. It's going to sag, and it's going to sag a lot.
Definitely.
The only way you
Let
can pull off this would be is if you had neutrally buoyant and dead still water.
Let them
Yeah,
think that
that-
this
that-
is
that-
curvature.
Even fishing
They'll do
lines
it,
stack.
they'll find
That's true.
curvature.
He would
and
do
then
the
they'll
experiment.
shut
You're
up.
right. You do the experiment, and it would show tons of curvature. Maybe that's better. Just let him to get the wrong answer and the right answer the wrong way, I guess.
But they said
Yeah, if
that
we end up.
you said you've been doing a think tank thing on this for like weeks now. You said you've been working on it. How come you don't know anything about it?
Longer than weeks.
Yeah,
5
well,
months.
how come you don't know anything about it was the main idea of that question.
Because we've been going over different ideas. This is just one of them.
But don't you remember, Jeremy? The whole point of your drawing the line was to avoid all these impossibilities. The physical line like this is always going to sag. So
Well,
the whole point of drawing the line, the reason why you came up with that was to solve this problem. You've gone full circle now.
Well, I mean, apparently it's, we can go to the moon and we got a rover on Mars, but we can't draw a straight line on Earth.
You
So,
can
I
draw
don't
a
know.
straight line a lot easier than you can get a line not to sag. That's for damn sure.
I have a proposition. I don't know. I had this idea in my mind. Jeremy, how about you put 2 lines or do an experiment with this, okay? Go to a flat plane somewhere near your apartment or backyard. Put 1 mile or like, let's not do 1 mile. It's too long, okay? We do like 50
Nice
meters.
guy, nice guy. What are you doing, dude?
I'm proposing
Nice
him
guy,
a-
nice guy. Hey, mate. How about you kiss my balls, mate?
You got Waz fucking triggered now, bro. It's not good.
Are you
Shut up, Jeremy.
I won't tolerate this abuse to Jeremy. Scott, like if you're not
I
going
was
to moderate,
abusing nice guy. Hey, I was abusing nice guy. So shut the fuck up, Brummy.
Crummy's a little confused.
What's new?
A little.
Barely.
We're gonna have a day of heavy moderation. Just anything that gets in the way of these people having a conversation, I'm just gonna start muting.
Warning, I've I've unmuted Nice Guy too, by the way, just to let you know.
But just
Stop doing that, please.
Hold on. Why do you keep fucking muting me, bro?
Well, make it short and quick, mate. You go on this fucking long explanation of bullshit. Just get to your point.
I'm trying to help the guy sincerely.
You're not helping.
Okay. You help him then. You go ahead and help him.
You can help him. You just don't know how. I'm trying to help you to help him.
What's a 50-meter line in my backyard going to do for us? Nothing.
So no,
no reason to even go on it.
If there's a tube and you can put a hollow light or a laser in it, and if it's straight, you can get the laser to the other side of the tube. If it's curved, the laser will not actually reach that tube. So you can actually get a buoyant line. The ocean actually is curving in 2 miles. The light from the laser, and it's
all right. You're clipping.
We'll get there.
Now you're dropping out, Nice Guy. I think the gods are trying to tell you something.
Yeah, we're trying to get away from laser. Any kind of thing that will refract. Anything that uses refraction at this point is not definitive, not objective. That's
In your
why.
think, in your think tank, have you who are you actually doing this think tanking with? Because it doesn't seem like you've made much progress in months. Like we're talking about a string. You pull a string through water, either at the surface or below the surface, and you're done. You haven't discussed materials, stuff like that, or have you discussed materials and methods of tensioning and the criteria that you're going to use to pass/fail? Because I mean, you said that if it fails at all in not matching exactly 8 inches per mile squared, you'd have to explain why it going down below the surface at all wouldn't
from sag.
Yeah. Oh, okay. So you have an unknown amount of sag that's going to be there, and then you're going to now you're going to discredit Globe Earth with an unknown amount of sag.
The point is, if it doesn't sag enough, then we know it's not. If it only say we're supposed to get an 8-inch sagitta and it's only sagging 3 inches, it's not a globe.
How?
No, that's
because you
totally
need 8
wrong.
inches. You need 8 inches in the middle of a 2-mile drop.
Jeremy, no. If it sags at all, if it sags at all, it shows you it's a ball of some unknown size.
No,
that's why they've chosen heavy line.
Yes.
Jeremy, your tenacity is audacious.
Wait.
Come on.
Wait, I'm confused though. How's that true, Bizarre? If it sags at all, it shows it's globe. Why is that?
Fucking ridiculous what he just said.
It doesn't sag at all.
But wait, if it has nothing to do with...
You don't want sag.
If it's flat,
Hold on,
if it's flat, can I go ahead now? Can everybody tell me, yes, it's okay to go ahead now?
Go ahead, Bizarre. Bizarre, go ahead. It's okay.
Sure, everybody's told me it's okay.
Yeah, you're good. Go ahead.
Don't invite more interruption. Just proceed.
If it's flat, there will be no sag at all in this experiment.
Not true.
If it's flat.
Hold on.
Why do you say that, Bizarre? I don't think that's correct at all. I think you misunderstand the experiment. How in the world do you think there'd be no sag just because it's a flat Earth?
I'm basing that on following the train of thought that predicts that if it's a ball that we say it will be 8 inches, because that is the calculated deviation based off the ball of what we are proposing it is. So
if I use a 2-mile rope, right? That's he says 2 miles. Let's say I have a 2 miles and 20-foot rope. Well, that 2 miles and 20-foot rope on between those 2-mile markers, it's going to sag quite a lot, right? It's going to sag a bit because I have too long of a rope. That doesn't tell me anything about the Earth's shape. It just means I have a sag in my rope. It just means I wasn't taut enough.
If Jeremy's proposal is correct, it will only show the deviation from the ball. The ball's curved and the supposedly perfectly straight line.
Beach.
You understand that the rope is underneath the water, is underneath the surface of the water?
Yeah.
So that so if it sags, you're saying that it can't sag on a flat Earth, is what you said, right?
No, it's neutrally buoyant.
I think Jeremy is assuming he's eliminated all the other causes of sag, and all you will see is the difference between the curved Earth and a flat Earth.
All right, let me explain it one more
Straw
time.
man.
Let me explain it one more time. Yeah, I don't think he understood. The line is going to sink in water, right? It's going to sink in water.
Why?
So
Why not
because
use neutrally buoyant?
Okay, the line's going to sink. The line's going to sink in water.
Let him get through, guys.
Thanks, Moyak.
Hang on. Can we let Jeremy just get through his explanation, and then we can pick it apart?
Sure.
Yeah, pick it apart after. The line's going to sink in water, right? So there's going to be sag. So just because it's sagging doesn't mean it's not flat. Now, it has to be sagging a specific amount. Like, we're over 2 miles, you're supposed to get an 8-inch sag in the middle. If it's only 4 inches, it's not a globe. You got a couple inches from sagging, and we don't have any globe curves.
I think you might be using the word sag incorrectly here, but I could be wrong.
It goes down below the surface.
Your plan is to have the fishing wire pulled taut, yeah? Is that right, Jeremy? Or
yeah,
am I missing something?
Yeah, pretty tight. I mean, I'm hoping we can get
there's zero sag. If there's not, there's no sag.
Tight with no sag.
I'm hoping we can get like a 700-pound test line or something, like some deep sea fishing line, or I don't know if you've ever seen paracord.
Okay. But the point is that taut means there's no sag, right?
So you think it's possible? You think it's
sag refers to lack of tautness. That's where sag refers to when the rope is not pulled taut enough, so it then makes a little bit of a curve.
So as long as I pull this rope tight, there won't be no sag.
Well, are you starting?
There won't sag. There might be a differential between you and the surface of the water, but that's different than the sag. Hot mic, Brett, Miss Reality.
Okay, why not buoyant? I'm just curious to know why you've chosen to have heavy line as opposed to slightly buoyant line.
Now, Jeremy, I've heard you mention before that this beginning and end would be underneath the water, so it's start under the water.
Like Jeremy answering Moyak's question.
Yeah, let's stop interrupting each other. Let's let people get their questions answered. Let's not like bogart a question. So when somebody asks a question and they're done, don't jump in before the other person's answered the question. Let's just be more. Let's just do better.
Question.
It's all right.
We're using heavy line. We're not using any buoyant line because we don't want anyone complaining afterwards.
Well, no, this would just put the onus. This would just put the onus on you for actually, if it deviates at all from the surface, then it would prove that the Earth is not flat. So why did you choose heavy? And why not neutral? Why not neutral?
Because then we'll be bickering after about the buoyancy of the line. Was it really totally neutral? You know, you can't have anything completely neutral. It was a little bit floating, and that's what. I don't want no excuses after.
The same.
But you have this problem, Jeremy. You have the problem that well, you're just going to pick up the same thing over. Well, maybe it was sagging so much that it makes it look like it's sagging. Maybe it was sagging, because it's so heavy, it sagged all the way through past the 8 inches.
Yeah, this doesn't disprove. This doesn't disprove flat Earth at all. This just could falsify the globe. That's all.
No, just prove your experiment's fucking wrong.
Oh, that's true. That's correct. That's correct. What he just said is right. That's fine.
If it's sagging too much, we can always just blame it on. If it's dropping too much, we can always just blame it on the sag of the line or whatever you were calling it.
So why don't you construct an experiment so that it falsifies flat Earth? I mean that's right. This is definitely confirmation bias. When you make experiments that are designed to protect your presumed hypothesis, the conclusion that you want. When you're doing that, you're not making a good experiment. You want to do it the other way around, where you're trying to destroy the thing that you think is correct.
No, there's 7 billion people on Earth that think we're on a globe. Okay, we're trying to falsify that. Now, is that a problem? I'm trying to tell you that if you want a good experiment, if you want a good experiment, the better way to do it is to think, okay, I'm gonna hammer my hypothesis with the worst, toughest, best test that I can think of. I'm gonna make it nearly impossible for my hypothesis to win. And then if it does, then you can feel confident in it. If you make it easy, like what you're describing, well, then you're not really doing anything. It's not easy.
Back in the state of who knows?
This isn't easy.
Try and get all the people to prove correct.
You protected hold on, guys. Hold on. I mean by easy that you've protected your hypothesis from being falsified. You've designed it in such a way that you have an excuse if you don't like the result, and then you can claim it's valid if you do like the result. That's
Well,
the backwards way to do it. You want to have it
hold
so
on.
that it's the other way around. If it falsifies your conclusion, you've got no way out. That's the good way to do it.
I'm doing this to see if there's a bulge there. This is the way I can
I
definitively
know why you're doing
see.
it. That has nothing to do with what I just said, dude. I know why you're doing it.
Yeah, so I want to
I'm
see if the
saying
bulge
that you
is
want to
there.
design your experiment so that it falsifies your conclusion, not the other way
This
around.
experiment is designed so that if there's not a lot of sag, if we only get 4 inches of sag, this will falsify the fact that there's a bulge there.
I know. We just said we know that like 5 minutes ago. I know. I get that. Oh, I'm not talking about
I don't
that.
understand what the problem
Why
is.
are you just reverting back to describing the experiment?
Because I'm telling you what I'm
saying
trying
is
to
that
do.
you've designed it in such a way. You've designed it in such a way that if you like the conclusion, you call it valid. If you don't like the conclusion, you say it must have been the sag. That's what you just said, and that's true. That is how it's designed. I'm telling you that is a way that bias creeps into science.
It might seem biased like that, but it's designed specifically so that there can't be any complaints afterwards because of the buoyancy of the line. That's why it's designed like that.
The complaint still exists.
The problem, the thing that you're missing that I'm telling you is that you're not trying to falsify the conclusion that you want. You're doing the opposite. You're protecting the conclusion you want, and you're trying to falsify the thing that you think is incorrect.
Okay, the
And when you
conclusion
do
I
it
want.
like that,
Hold on, Veach. The conclusion I want is there a bulge?
the conclusion you want is for there to be very little difference between the line and the surface of the water. You want to see that to be, small.
No. I want to see if there's a bulge there. There has to be a predicted calculated amount of bulge at the middle of this line.
A distance. That's what I just said. You want that distance to be small, or less than something.
No, it only needs to be as much, or it needs to be equal to or greater than.
No,
If it's less than something, then there's no bulge.
Yes, that's what you want, right? The conclusion that you want is to show that there's no bulge, that it's a flat Earth. So you want it to be equal to or less than a certain distance in the middle.
Jeremy, do you not want there to be a
it's not
bulge?
rocket science.
It's not about what I want. Who cares what I want?
The conclusion that you're going for, the reason you're doing this is that you suspect the Earth is flat. So you're expecting, the reason you're setting this experiment up is to display a lack of a bulge there, right? To show that we're on a flat Earth, right?
Yeah. Let's pretend I do it and I'm supposed to get 8 inches of bulge and there's only 4.
Then you successfully proved flat Earth, right?
There's not a bulge. Yeah, there's not a bulge there.
Okay. So that's why I call it the one that you want. Yes,
I
right.
falsified the globe. I falsified the globe.
That's right.
I falsified the globe.
That's right.
We all think it's a globe,
that's my
right?
point. I
think Earth's a globe, right?
Yes, and so you falsified that when you do it this way.
I'm trying to falsify it, yeah.
Yeah. So that's exactly what I've said. I don't know why you've been fighting this nonstop. This is what everyone says. We make things so complicated. It's just answering. So yes, so you want it to be equal to or less than a certain distance, and that's going to be the conclusion that you want. But then if it's not that, you're going to call it sag. You're going to say, well, it just had too much sag in it.
What is
right?
that distance?
You set it up so that you can protect the conclusion you want, so if it gets a conclusion you like, it's a valid experiment. If you get a conclusion you don't like, well, it was a problem with the experiment. You see what you've done?
I mean, I'm not trying to protect anything. The way I'm doing it is, if there's no sag there, if there's no
I know how you're reading it.
It's definitive though, my way.
What I'm saying, dude.
Protecting your ignorance.
Not if it's a conclusion you don't like. If it's a conclusion you don't like, you're going to call it that's too much sag.
If I use neutral,
it's only good if it's the conclusion you like.
If you use neutral buoyant line, you'll be bickering for months after about the buoyancy.
I'm not suggesting what you do. I'm telling you that when you set up an experiment, if you've protected your hypothesis and you're not protecting the thing that you don't, you're introducing bias. It's a bad experiment.
This isn't a hypothesis.
You want to do the other way around. You want to think of the thing that when you get a result, there's no way out of it. You want to think the thing that falsifies the flat Earth, not the other way around.
That's why this isn't a hypothesis thing. I don't know why you guys took it there. You're fanatical with it.
That's we're just doing the way normal science speaks about stuff. You have a weird idea of science, and we can't help you with it. But that's how normal people talk about it.
I have a way to definitively prove if there's a bulge in the middle or not. Like, I think it's
no. You have a way to disprove the globe, is what you have, right? You have a way that if you get this certain result, but that's a bad way to do it, because what's going to end up happening is you're going to give sag. You're going to see that it's not below the minimum that you want, and then you're just going to call it a bad experiment.
Then you're looking
isn't that what you guys try to do in science, Veach? You try to falsify
This is exactly the whole point of this rant. This is why I get so frustrated with you. Is I've been trying to tell you exactly this. Know that what we do in science is the other way around. You take the hypothesis that you want. You want it to be no bulge, right? You've set it up so that that's the one that's not protected. You've done it in reverse. You protected you do it so that when you get the result that you don't like, that's the one that you know is right. Okay, you don't have a way out now. You can't just say it's too much sag or whatever.
So we're looking for
that's the one that gets hammered.
So
we're looking for bulge, and there's not going to be any bulge. There's going to be sag unless it's pulled taut. Haha.
That was helpful. That was
And
so
you're
helpful.
measuring with a rubber ruler.
No, what's the minimum amount that would show globe? Is there any amount that would show globe, or would globe binding be attributed only to sag of the line?
Yeah, that's what happened in globe binding is sag.
Yeah.
Well,
I mean, if it's
Jeremy?
less,
Jeremy,
if it's
what's the answer? Before we go on, what is the answer? What amount would you accept? As that's globe, not sag in the line.
all I can tell you is that afterwards, if it's less than the bulge, then we have a definitive answer. Anything else will not be definitive.
So no answer could say globe. The only
doesn't-
possibility
he's saying
is your
there's
desired answer
this is
of
that's
less
right.
than 8 inches.
He's protected.
Yeah.
Yeah,
This is
exactly.
not to prove. This is.
Then fuck you, Jeremy.
Well, I'm
Is that
sorry.
this is how science goes wrong, Jeremy. This is how bias is introduced. You creating a scenario. If you keep doing it this way, you're going to keep creating scenarios that you can't lose in. You can only cause a neutral end result. And if you do it that way, eventually, sooner or later, you're going to have some what's called a meta error that'll introduce that will show you to be correct in the flat Earth thing, but you won't have realized that your line wasn't actually long enough, so that's why it was so taut, or I don't know exactly what'll go wrong, but there's another kind of error that can creep in eventually. Hold on, just listen and try to actually hear what's being said instead of just ignore what I'm saying and say, repeat to me again, I'm trying to find the bulge, or whatever it is that you keep repeating. So what I'm saying is that if you do it this way, where you've protected yourself, this kind of experimentation is why science gets things wrong. Every time in the past that people do it this way, it goes sideways.
Okay, the whole world thinks.
Believe me or don't believe me, but that is a historical truth.
All right, the whole world thinks there's a bulge there, right? So I have a way to definitively falsify that. Isn't that what we're supposed to try to do? Is prove things wrong?
No, you should.
Isn't that what you do in science?
Try to falsify the conclusion you're looking for.
So we're not trying to prove things wrong in science now.
What did I? Do you not? How is it you don't understand what I'm saying? What did I just say? What was the sentence I said? You're trying to definitively disprove the conclusion that you're looking for. So how would you get from that? So we're not trying to disprove things? When I just told you what you're trying to disprove.
Yes, I'm trying to disprove your globe theory.
Yeah, look, you can do it this way if you want. You're not here. I don't know why you're so stubborn and so recalcitrant, but I'm telling you that when you're doing it in such a way that you're only falsifying the conclusion that you don't care about, the one that is not the one that is on your agenda, that they're leaning into the where science goes wrong phase. That is exactly where bias starts to creep in. What you want to do is the opposite. You want to test the thing that you think is true with the most intense test you can, so that when people look at your experiment, they go, "Holy shit! I cannot believe." When it passes the test, you want people to go, "Oh my gosh, it must be flat because there's no way. It's impossible. I can't believe it passed this test." But you're doing it the other way around. You're doing it in a way that's protected.
So if I thought the Earth was a globe and I did this test, that would be fine. If I thought the Earth was a globe and I was trying to prove it wrong.
No,
if I
because
thought
there's a
Earth
no
was a globe.
result.
Hold on a second. It's not time for everyone to chime in. Hold on.
Yeah,
If I thought the Earth was
I
a
guess
globe,
if you felt like it was a thing that needed testing, then it would make more sense to do it this way. If you're really convinced that it was a globe, then this is a way. This might be a way to probably better ways than this, but this might be a way to approach it. At least then you're not going in the wrong direction.
okay, there's 7 billion people on Earth that think it's a globe. I think this is a good thing to do.
Yeah, but
why do I have to be one of those people in order
for?
Why do I have to be one of those people in order to do this? I'm doing this for you guys. You guys.
Because we all have. Because I'll tell you what. Because that's what bias is. We all have bias, right? Our biases all lead us to make mistakes. This is you setting yourself up in a situation where your bias is getting to dominate. And so I'm just look. Maybe you'll do it right and it'll work out fine. But I'm just telling you that this is why scientists are careful about this stuff, because they don't want their bias to creep in. So you look at what you think is true, and then you design stuff around it to not let your bias get in there anywhere. You try to avoid the opposite. So I'm not
How is-
telling you that
how
you're
is
doing
my-
a classic mistake of bias. That's all.
Hold on. How is my bias gonna determine if there's 8 inches of bulge there or not?
Because your bias is because when you design experiments like this, you're gonna keep doing them, and let's say
hold on,
every
I'll be
single
right
one
back.
of them tells
Reach,
you
I'll be
that
right back.
Hey,
Don't
Scott.
hurry. Don't hurry.
Can I ask a question? Am I allowed to speak?
Why not?
Yeah. I was just gonna ask, like, what difference is this gonna make? Isn't it gonna be the same on either a globe or the rope's still gonna sag either way?
Well, that's
It's
yeah.
still
The
gonna
rope is gonna
sag.
sag. Yeah. In practice,
So
yeah, I agree with you.
what's the difference going to be? There's no difference.
But he thinks the rope will be taut enough. He thinks it's a flat Earth, and then he thinks the rope will be taut enough to display that by looking at the difference between where the rope is and the surface of the water in the middle of the rope.
Yeah, but
So-
you're not going to be able to get rid of the sag in the rope, regardless of what
I know
you
he
do.
thinks you will, though.
There's gonna be some sag.
He's
Been
not trying to
talking
get
about
rid of all
it
this
for
sag.
5 months, Ben, or more.
Jeremy, are you going to explain this properly, or does somebody have to do it for you?
He's setting up some wiggle room with the sag, because as long as let's say it sags, if he puts it so that it's 1 inch below the surface of the water, well, that gives him about 7 inches of sag that he can have and still call it a flat Earth. Because a globe, the beginning, the starting, the top line of the globe should be 8 inches below the water. So anything above that is indicative of a flat Earth with some sag. Then once it gets past 8 inches, it starts to be, well, do we have 9 inches of sag or 1 inch of sag? Well, we don't know anymore now. So it's not definitive at that point. But up until about 7 inches of sag, it would be a flat Earth in that case.
So this would be a good thing to do, you think, or no?
Well, you'd have to find the fucking maximum breaking strain of the material first before you could
we're
even
not-
take into
all right.
calculation the sag.
All right, let's say we have all the materials in the still water. Would this be a good thing to do to see if the bulge is there or what, Beach?
I think no. I think that this is you're doing it backwards, like I said. But I was just when you were gone, we were just talking about what is the thinking behind this. I think this is what I think will happen. Almost, I would bet cash money on this. You will not be able to get a sag less than 7 inches. Period. So no matter what will happen, you'll end up with more sag than you want, and you will call it an indecisive, a non-conclusion. And however much time and cost and money and energy it took will just be thrown out the window. Which I just think which is one of the reasons why I think it's a backwards way to think about do it. Because you want to do it so that when you're done with it, you know for sure that you falsified flat Earth.
Trying to reverse the laws of physical fucking dynamics. You can't do that.
I disagree, Jeremy. I think you need to proceed with this. You guys put your resources together, go out and do this. Show the world, Jeremy.
All right, Kurt.
And do you need any more time wasted?
You need some leggy bands and rubber ducks.
Is just get some fishing line. I mean, how long do you think you could string up fishing line above air, just on a yard or something? How long do you think you could make it string between two metal poles and keep it taut? Like when do you think sag would be introduced? The visible sag between two poles. Do you have a guess at all?
I mean, it depends on what kind of line you have. You might be able to get
Let's say heavy duty fishing line.
You might, some deep sea 100, couple 100 pound
Yeah.
test they use to pull up tunas with. Probably.
Sure, yeah.
I don't know.
100 pounds.
Half of, they pull up tunas, 600 pound tunas and
Okay.
shit out of the ocean.
Cool. Okay. All right. How long do you?
I don't know, maybe.
What does that have to do with
Couple
anything?
Hold on.
Couple.
What'd you say, Jimmy?
Probably maybe a couple. I don't know. It's a total guess, but I'd say 1,000 feet, maybe. I don't know, 2,000, 3.
They have calculations for this.
What do they say?
I don't know. Actually, I gotta go look it up again.
I could be wrong, Jeremy. My intuition would be that you'd have a hard time removing all visible sag at 200 feet. I could be wrong, but that's how I feel. Yeah, I think sag is just such. You're gonna find it's like I remember a friend of mine once said he was gonna build the longest bridge of Legos, and he started getting really into it. He's an engineer. It turns out that the Legos, no matter how you put them together, even if you super glue them, once the bridge is about 8 feet long, they snap. they'll break the actual Lego in half. They aren't strong enough to hold the weight just keeps getting heavier and heavier. And he tried to do all these different ways to reinforce it, but material as it gets long, it just doesn't hold up. Things bend and break and snap, and nothing stays straight.
Yeah, that's why.
Thanks to this thing that we call gravity.
That's why you got to use the super diesel line. The 100, few hundred. I mean, have you ever seen paracord stretched tight? It's like guitar string.
And it's still.
I've never seen it, but
yeah, I mean, if you go and put. Sorry, go ahead.
Sorry.
If you put 500 pounds on a line of paracord, you could it's like guitar string. It's super straight. It stretches.
And over 1,000 feet, it'll sag several, or an inch or two, at least.
Yeah, well, it stretches, and it's got fucking, the dynamics of the fucking material aren't correct. You're gonna have to think of something better than that. Like, I don't know, a suspended wire or something. Something with more tensile strength, less stretch, and less sag. Something that's going to be solid all the way across. I mean, the only thing I can think about is a shorter distance and a laser as effect to a longer distance than a laser, because you don't want the same effects over a longer distance. You want to do short distances and add all the short distances together. There you go.
So
plus, sorry, go ahead, Waj.
No, you go ahead, mate.
I was going to say, plus we're in water, so this whatever sag you calculate is going to be less, right? Because things are lighter in water. They don't weigh as much in water.
They weigh the same, bro.
No, it's changing the fucking observation of the curve, innit? If you're sagging in the water, it's not what you're looking for. You're looking for a straight line.
Hey, how you plan to take this from a thought experiment to a practical experiment, Jeremy?
He doesn't.
Well, we figure out the material, the line that we need, and you get a winch, some posts to keep it underwater, and.
Okay, so what's keeping you from doing this? Because it takes like 10 minutes.
No, so. Well, hang on a sec. Let's go from what you said at first. How are you going to figure this out?
Which kind of line we need?
You could use You could use the Great Wall of China as a reference. There you go.
Well, I'm going to need to talk to somebody that knows about lines and shit.
Yeah,
let's get physical, mate.
I'm sure there'll be sections of the Great Wall of China that are long and fucking straight and flat enough to measure.
Come on, dude. What are you talking about?
Great Wall of China. It's fucking long enough.
He's not going to China to measure. Come on, just
measure it from Google Earth and use a fucking space picture. I don't know.
How is that going to help him from Google Earth? How is he going to use that from Google Earth, dude?
Well, it's supposed to be accurate-ish, isn't it?
You're doing that thing again, Tao, where you're on point but on a different point.
Yeah, I've gone to Atlantis again, haven't I?
Yeah. So Jeremy, let's get physical, mate. How are you gonna how are you gonna work this out? What are you gonna do to work this out? What have you got in mind?
Let's get physical.
That sums it up right there. Everything you need to know about Jeremy, I think we just got it right there.
No, I need to talk to a line expert. I need to talk to somebody that knows a lot about lines and shit.
You need to talk to a line expert. What is a line expert?
Somebody that's an expert in maybe knots, lines, ropes, different types of twine. I don't know.
Come on, Jeremy. Let's see your body talk.
Seriously, man. For 6, 7.
Anyone has any idea or a proposal experiment better?
You guys have no tangible shit, so I mean,
I want to explain mine to you, but I don't want to anger the other.
I've heard the premise of yours, and it's terrible. I'm sorry, but if you want to, I guess
that's one option. There's multiple other options that doesn't require light.
Okay, let me explain something to you. Any option you're gonna propose can't involve light, laser beam, anything that's gonna refract. All right. So what do you got?
So the budget of the experiment will increase tremendously, of course, but not that much. I don't know how much you can afford for it. You know how chains of metal, how they work? Basically, they're kind of connected, but still they freedom of movement yet.
Yep.
So if you want to falsify the curvature, what you get that 2 mile line, this 2 mile line, or
What
like
if we
You're
had
clipping. You're
pictures
clipping.
from space?
All right. So taking what Nice Guy's trying to say here, Jeremy. What if you had a tube that was sealed at both ends and it had the same pressurized gas all the way along it? It was a couple of miles long, and you shot a laser beam through that. That way, you could calculate what you expect, or you could even evacuate the tube if you could. I mean, how's that any more ridiculous to what you want to do?
That was my first idea, using the LIGO laser beam in a vacuum tube thing. That's wild expensive.
So yes, you're still on the same track of ridicularity.
Here's
with
the
my
SAG
with my
calculator.
line in water.
Like
Why
ridiculous.
is
Yeah.
line in water ridiculous?
I mean, here's
Come
an
on, man.
online SAG calculator for you. This is the kind of stuff you should be researching with your think tank.
And again, why do we have to throw out all the pictures from space, Jeremy?
How are you gonna Stone right on topic? How are you gonna do the calculator SAG thing more
Oh,
when
you're
we
on
got it in
topic.
water?
I'm
I
just
was almost
curious.
done with
We
my
have all this
sentence.
other
Almost done,
fucking
Stone.
evidence. I'm just curious how you can just wave that away.
So Moyak, how are you gonna calculate it when the line's in water and it's it doesn't
Literally
weigh? Isn't
You
that
find out,
Stone?
you find out how
Stone, I'm
buoyant
right in
it
the middle
is.
of a sentence. I
Jeremy's
thought there was
dream.
gonna be heavy moderation in here today.
Yeah, come on,
Jeremy,
guys. We've got to get,
Jeremy, I think I got
each other get to an end of a sentence. Jeremy was
Always.
asking Moyak something, I believe.
It's always fair moderation in here, babe.
I think I have your answer already, Jeremy. You figure out what the buoyancy of the line is, and you find out what the weight is, and then you adjust the SAG calculator for that new number.
Does the buoyancy change of the line change when it's stretched? 'Cause I remember
That's
we
a
were
little
talking
bit hard to say. I think it'll generally stay about the same because as you're stretching it, it's also becoming thinner in diameter, so it probably is maybe relatively the same. Very close.
Stone's waiting for something to say. Can he go? Can he go next, Jeremy?
Yeah.
Go ahead, Dr. Stone.
Dr. Stone, what's there to say, man?
Oh, sorry, mate. I thought you had something to
He ain't
say.
got nothing to fucking say ever.
Jeremy, why don't you suck a dick,
Yeah,
man?
he has something to say.
Seriously, bro.
Come on, guys.
You act like
Stop
Waz,
digging
you really-
holes.
Waz, you really thought Stone was gonna have something to add to this, or any?
Oh,
kind
well,
of
he was trying to say something before,
Add to it, Jeremy.
and
What the
he was
fuck
trying
did
to
you
say
add
something.
to it, man?
He was trying to say something before, and I was trying to make room for him to repeat it because I don't think it was heard.
What do you got, Stone? Let's hear something.
But if the
you want
point's
me to
moot,
ask again, what have you got to fucking just hand wave all the evidence we have, all the pictures, all the science, fucking what? There's like 70 fucking space agencies out there. All these people are lying, right? All these people, and you figured it out, right?
Right on topic.
This is the topic, man. This is the topic. You come in here every day and you ask about these silly fucking experiment that you will never do, and everyone knows.
well,
it.
I mean,
And we've explained
with
it
all
to
due
you
res-
ad nauseum how it's not going to work. But no, you're just going to come in here and every day. We can do this.
all due respect,
man.
all due respects, Mr. Stone. I mean, he's not going to stop, so we may as well have fun with it, right?
Yeah.
Shouldn't let it get to us.
I agree with Luz there.
I didn't ask you, you fucker.
Yeah, shut up.
Oh man, if only you were.
Please do not unmod my moderations.
Sorry, I was kidding. You're right there. You're right.
Oh, that's funny.
So, I mean, yes, I don't know what kind of line we're going to use or where we're going to do it. We're just in the beginning stages of this, We're trying to figure it out. We need something tangible. If you guys had some tangible shit, we wouldn't have to
how
do
much
this.
measure a triangular part of the world, of the earth? You get a spherical triangle, more than 180 degrees. There you go.
Just don't use the triangle calculator that Anthony Riley did. It's apparently broken.
Doesn't that spherical triangle thing you're talking about, though, Mr. Stone, have to be done on more than 1/4, at least 1/4 of the sphere?
It's also optical.
No, it doesn't. That's only to get 390s.
Yeah, that's. Oh, I thought that's what he meant. Yeah.
In order, but what?
No,
in
I'm
order to
saying
get,
any
in order to get.
triangle,
Go ahead, Stone.
any triangle drawn on Earth granted, it's going to need to be very large to give you some kind of
Hundreds of miles. Hundreds of miles.
no, not hundreds of miles.
Yes, hundreds of miles. Yes, we did the math in here before. It's hundreds of miles.
You're not measuring a basketball court. You're measuring an undulating surface, so it's going to have elevations and shit. So that triangle is always going to be bigger than 180. Get out of here.
That doesn't make it. No, you don't know what you're talking about, Babs.
Wait,
Either way, that triangle thing is. Either way, that triangle thing is optical, and it's not definitive at all.
It's a ridiculous ask, right, Babs? Sorry, Jeremy. It's a ridiculous ask to do that. Is that what you're getting at?
I mean, it seems kind of silly to think you're going to make a triangle on the surface of Earth long enough and straight enough. I think it's harder than my straight line on the wall thing, honestly.
It's not unlike that, though. Not really unlike that, though. Really, is it?
I think it's a little crazier, honestly.
Because you're
a little. I'll give you a little.
Oh, was you so nice?
Even when he was trolling Oakley and QE, he was so nice about it. You're the most
stabber, mate.
You're the most polite troll I've ever seen, Waz. Ryan, get back.
He'll be making you a cup of tea as he stabs you in the back.
I don't know about calling me a troll, mate. My jokes are based in reality.
That one night, though, you were trolling him. That one video.
Well, he's the one that said he can't get any dumber.
I mean, it was it was funny. It was funny though, so I'm not knocking you. But
He said he can't get any dumber. Really?
Somebody
Show him the
said
clip,
dumb it
Waz.
down.
Show him the clip I made you.
Yes, send me.
Well, but I mean, I guess you could say that. Like, I could say that. Like, man, I'm a genius. I can't get dumber. That's how smart I am. I can't get any dumber.
No, they were saying.
I try, but I'm too smart.
They were saying dumb it down.
Listen.
Go ahead, Waz.
Wouldn't it be the opposite?
That's kind of
Smart as I can only get.
I suppose you can argue that's a recording out of context, but
It's wildly out
it
of
does
context.
kind of say what it says.
QE was talking about. Somebody said, dumb it down for him. They were asking QE to dumb it down for the.
Yeah, I was asking him to dumb it down.
Yeah. And QE's like, I don't think I can get any more dumber or something.
Yep.
QE is just unbelievably dumb, though. So it might be that he is at the very bottom. I mean, it may be.
He walked right into it.
It's like that.
Like, I remember a few weeks ago him saying to Nathan, "Oh, don't you think they're going to use that sound clip out of context?" Yep.
The fact that Jeremy took QE serious on anything is
everything.
Wow.
It's crazy. And still does, even in the face of evidence. He'll just say well, QE didn't say that.
So Veach, you believing in the globe, this test would be okay for you to do, right? Because
well
that would
done,
falsify
Jeremy.
it.
Well done.
It's not a great test. It's not a great
If
test.
M Stone doesn't agree, then you know you've done a good job.
You feel me though, Veach? Right? Like if you were to do this would be
No,
fine.
it's not.
'Cause
It's not a great test for a lot of different reasons. But it's hard to implement. It's very impractical. You're going to get 2 miles of the stuff. You're going to try to tie it off and get it taught. I think you're going to quickly find it's just unwieldy and too heavy to manipulate, and you're never going to get it taught. And it's just not going to work on it's going to be a disaster. I would think. I would never pursue this whether I was globe or flat Earth.
And Jaren did something similar with the foam and the light and Enrique. Remember that? I remember
It was
that.
interesting.
It was very interesting.
But I do think you should be suspicious of an experiment that is set up in such a way that you can't falsify your hypothesis you're trying to prove.
We're trying to falsify your hypothesis. This is 7 billion people on the world have the hypothesis that it's a globe.
I understand. Do you understand what I said, though?
Falsify it. Yes, we can falsify.
Did you understand what I said?
Yes.
But did you hear what I said, though?
Yes, I can't falsify flat Earth. I'm not trying to.
That you should be trying to is my point.
No, why 7 billion people on Earth?
Anything that you're doing where you're not trying to do that.
7 billion people on Earth have the globe hypothesis. I think that's more
Yeah, but
important
you're not
than
one
to
of them,
try to
right?
falsify. That's more
I
important.
don't know what to tell you, Jeremy. You asked my opinion. If I was a globe, I'm telling you that the problem is that you've set the experiment up to favor your bias, and that's a dangerous thing to do.
I mean, I guess if I was a glober, this would be fine to do though, because I could. Yes, it could fail, or it could prove the globe null and void. So, I mean, is it worth the risk?
It definitely makes more sense as to be designed this way. Ideally, what you want is something that's definitive in both directions, but you definitely don't want something that gives you an out. Giving yourself an out on an experiment is just a bad idea.
Yeah,
but there's nothing else would be if I did anything different. If I used any kind of neutral buoyant line, we now all of a sudden don't have definitiveness, if that's a word.
Well, I'm not sure that's true. I don't know why you say that. Neutral buoyant is not very precise. Is that the deal?
No. Okay. Here's what we're gonna do. We go out. We use neutral buoyant. We come back. Look, it's not a globe. We use neutral buoyant line. What are you guys gonna say?
Nothing. If it came back and it's correct,
you're fine with the line.
Yeah, if you do it right. If you test the tautness of the line, which you can test, and if it's actually taut, and then and it's neutrally buoyant, then yeah. I mean, there's a sense in which you can probably at least know what you're dealing with in the middle because you can actually test for tautness. I just realized, so you can essentially pluck the string and see how taut are you dealing with.
Pull it up, pull it down to see which way it's going. Yeah.
See how much give you have. Yeah, you could probably.
So you think neutral buoyant is the way to go?
Be a way to figure out exactly how much sag you're dealing with in that situation.
So you think neutral buoyant is the way to go?
Well, maybe, or maybe even with sag, there's a way to calculate it all out. Sorry, go ahead. Whoever's talking.
Could I address one to Professor Jeremy, please? Professor Jeremy, this is Professor Boomer from the University of Lake Eyre. When you do your experiment, what you do is publish the results proving you're flat Earth. We will then make it repeatable. We'll go out and do the same tests. We see all your criteria is correct, and we peer review it. We all come back with the same terms. You're right, the Earth's flat. King Jeremy rules. What would you like to do, President? Well done. Thank you.
President of the world.
Hey, Jeremy, what if your experiment doesn't work in the southern hemisphere?
That doesn't even make Laz. I don't even know what you just said. It has to work all over the place.
That's my point. That's my point.
It has to work all over the place. Everywhere on Earth, this water is bulging at this amount of rate. It's going to work anywhere. It's going to work in
the last hour and a half.
It's going to work in a swimming pool, in a lake, in a stream, on the ocean, everywhere on Earth.
Will
the
it
water
work
has
in
to be
the
bulging.
Dead Sea? Will it work in the Dead Sea, Jeremy?
I mean, it should work on any body of water.
The Dead Sea is the one that is it's oversalinated. It's just where everything just basically floats.
Yep.
Yeah. I mean, you have an issue there with the relative density of the water. But
So what are you going to take? How are you going to take into account the medium, the composition of the medium?
Well, we just need to know that things can sink in the water. If stuff
what's
sinks,
in the water?
Where do tides come from, Jeremy?
Hold on, just let them finish those.
Okay, I thought he was done.
I don't think so.
I mean, the composition of the the composition of the water. Wouldn't you have to determine that? Relative density and all that you guys spout. That would have to come into play in some way or another.
Yeah, well, I mean, say we go to the Dead Sea and your line don't sink, then that's obviously not a good place to do it at. You need somewhere where the line can sink.
But what about the sink rate? Does that not matter?
I don't think that really
Doesn't
matters.
matter.
How fast it sinks? You're talking
Or
about
how
fast
far it sinks, even.
Oh, how
Or
far?
how far it sinks.
Well, I mean, if it sinks, it sinks.
If he dies, he dies.
If you use the Dead Sea, could you call that Dead Reckoning?
Yeah. There's another lake like that in Utah that's full of salt.
Could that be Salt Lake City?
No, the lake though. I don't know what the name of the lake is. Salt Lake City Lake? It doesn't make sense.
Have you got someone to help you with this?
The Great Salt Lake, maybe?
The Great Salt Lake, there we go.
So I remember you saying, Jeremy, this was one of the options of experiments. Do you have any other idea when you were brainstorming, those past months?
Oh, lots of ideas, lots of them, tons. So
Maybe-
many I couldn't even do it all in one day.
Maybe you have one that actually might work and actually legit. What do you think?
Well, I think this one is might actually work and is the most legit right here.
Okay.
This is definitely the cheapest. This is
So
definitely
all the storms you've had in your brain, this is the best one.
I mean, this is the most.
Your mental
is the mo-
prowess is astounding, Jeremy. It
This is
baffles
the most.
us all.
This is the
Hey,
most
Jeremy?
realistic.
Guys, and it's not everything's not an excuse just to be insulting to Germany. Like seriously, just stop doing that.
He walks into it every day here.
I know.
Yeah, I know, Scott. It's difficult.
What's
It's
the name
difficult
of the
not to,
lake
Scott.
in
All right, then everybody insult Jeremy
I will
every
try.
chance you guys get. As soon as there's
I will
any
try.
options, just jump in there and get another dig in until he leaves.
Freaking hell,
Yeah,
now I
so
don't want to
fun.
do it. Thanks, Scott. Thanks for ruining it.
I'll try my best not to.
If it's funny, and then I'm fine with it. If you got something funny, some funny insult to say, I like that.
There's some people you can do it with, Scott.
Jeremy, is that
Jeremy's one
everyone
of
thinks
them.
it's funny. Everyone thinks their own ones are funny.
I know.
Jeremy,
I'm sorry.
I posted a image to Pittman line. 200-pound tests. What is that? 800 feet per pound. So you can do a calculation on that and see how much sag you should expect. And you get 22,000 feet of that for 25 pounds.
Just on an off note, Jeremy, you think you're more intelligent than me, correct?
Don't answer that. Don't answer that, Jeremy.
Jeremy's more intelligent than everybody in the room. Put together.
I mean,
No, I'm just curious.
I like to think we're all on an even playing field somewhat, but.
Boy,
Now, Moyak.
Very diplomatic.
Now, Moyak, this is monofilament. I think that's neutral buoyant. Look at that 550-pound test, though. That's nice. And 1,300 feet only weighs 5 pounds.
Dude, you're going big game fishing, Jeremy.
That's 25 pounds a mile, give or take, little less.
We're looking at like a grand a mile then.
So I mean, could you not pull this line that has 550-pound test that only weighs 25 pounds? I mean, could you not be able to pull that 1 mile with no sag? You could 550-pound test. That's way more than the 25 pounds, and it's going to be in water. So that's monofilament, though. I think that's neutral buoyant.
Borrow one, mate. I won't go buying one. Fucking monofilament of that length, that's going to be expensive.
Is this what the brainstorming sounds like in your internal monologue, Jeremy?
Yes, I'm brainstorming out loud.
We're not supposed to take digs at Jeremy anymore.
Anyway,
So-
that arises all sorts
Right,
of fucking problems. There's monofilament, so I won't bother with that.
So I'm
I
guessing
mean-
from what I'm hearing, you're going to get a piece of string between two boats or something and have one go over the horizon. Is that right, Jeremy?
No, you can't use boats. There's no horizon involved. You're gonna have to do this on like I envision this happening on like a canal that has a shoreline on it, not one with a wall. That way you can go in, you can drive a stake underground in the water. Is it only needs to be like an inch underwater, 2 inches or something. So you go in and you drive a stake 2 miles apart on the shoreline. You drive it, not hammer it in there, get it real deep. That way when you put the weight on it, it's not. It doesn't.
What happens when the water and it starts eroding the post you just put in there and shifting its location?
The water's gonna erode the posts.
Erosion happens, and you said you're just going to be on the shoreline, right? Yeah, you know, when the waves come in and out, you notice the seashells and the sand and everything kind of move around. And when you put your feet in one location, it'll shift around. How are you going to account for that?
You'd say canal.
Okay, I'm not worried about erosion. This is in a canal with non-flowing water. The water's not moving here.
Non-erosion.
I mean, I'm not worried about erosion with this. We're gonna do it in one day. We're not gonna set it up, come back 10 years later, come to find out our posts have eroded.
Is
Dude, you're supposed to be
the
the
canal
smartest.
more than 8 inches deep?
Sorry, Waz, say that again.
Is the canal more than 8 inches deep?
I mean, yeah, it should be.
All right, well, that's a good start.
Why don't you just use the walls of the canal then, Jeremy?
I mean, a canal wall would be a great idea. You go to a canal with a wall on
Full
it.
circle.
And then you could draw your straight line if we knew how to draw a straight line, you know. You got the smartest minds in the world in this room. You guys don't know how to draw straight lines.
Well, you think that it's easier to get something not to sag? You think it's easier to pull something taut straight than it is to draw something straight? Like,
We're okay with it. We can handle a little bit of sag on the line, though. We're good with a little bit.
It's going to be a lot of sag, though. That's the problem. It's going to be more than a little bit.
Okay, Veach, you got a 550-pound test line where a mile of it only weighs 25 pounds. Let me see if I can find Moyax. A mile of the string weighs 25 pounds, but we can put 550 pounds worth of weight on that line. You don't think we could pull that tight? You think we could pull that
Maybe
tight?
you could. Maybe you could. Is that how it works? Is it the weight of the line across the length is the amount that you have to be able to pull?
No.
And if you can do that, you can make it taut, no?
Plus, we're going to be in water, so the line's going to weigh even less. That's
cumulative weight of the thing after a mile is only 25 pounds? Really?
I don't know. It's a bit of a pie in the sky figure, that, isn't it?
Yeah.
Well, if that's true, though, I mean, that's very light. But I mean, if you really can, they can hold 550 pounds of pressure or force. Maybe you could do it that way. I don't know. Maybe.
What is it? One of Superman's fucking pubic hairs or something?
I don't know. Well, is it true or not true? I don't know, Jeremy.
I need a line expert. That's what I said from the jump when we started talking
Well,
about
where did
line.
that number come from? Did you just guessing or just remembering or what?
Moyak put it out there. It's in the scroll up and chat a little bit. It's monofilament line.
A line expert.
It's 550.
That's what I thought.
It's 550
500
pound
what?
test.
A line expert.
But how much does it weigh over a mile of it? Weighs how much?
And how much does it extend per pound of weight?
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
To know how much it would stretch at those tensions.
Oh, yeah, that's a good point.
How much does it stretch? I don't know.
You guys ever seen that How It Works videos with large ropes and testing tensile strength? They literally put them up to hydraulic presses.
Yeah.
And they pull them apart. Shit's crazy.
That's actually probably pretty telling for this. It's called How It Works?
Yeah, it's a show on History Channel, Discovery. I don't know. It's one of those channels.
I see.
Yeah, right after he watches Ancient Aliens, I think that comes on. So you see what I'm saying, Beach?
You
With the
might learn a thing or two,
Is it
Jeremy. One
an
convention.
insult, Jeremy?
Not ancient aliens. I'm talking about how it works.
I'm just fucking with you. So Veach, you see what I'm saying with the amount of pounds the
Well,
line weighs?
well, two things though. Is it true that it weighs that little over a mile? And the second thing is, someone else asked, and this is a good question: how much does it stretch?
It doesn't. Why does stretching? If it stretches, it's fine as long as it's not going. Is it going to stretch down or stretch up? It's going to stretch straight, right?
I think it. Well, it depends. I think it can matter. Like if it stretches a lot, if it's very stretchy, then you can find yourself in a situation where it gets stretched out so much that you can't really get it taut down. You're lowering its ability to withstand pressure every time you stretch it. So maybe that only works if you only if you only put that kind of pressure on it for a very short time or something. There's gonna have to be some way in which you have a sense of how much it stretches. Otherwise, we don't know what it means to say you put this much force on it. Is it true that it's only 25 pounds for a mile?
If I pull a rubber band and let's say I have it tight. Let's say I have this rubber band tight, and then I stretch it farther out, and it stretches even more. Does that make it less straight?
No, but it makes it less able. It makes it less able to withstand that the force that's trying to keep it taut. So as you try to keep it taut and it starts to stretch, you're gonna have to keep it taut. You're gonna have to add more force to keep it taut. Now it's gonna start to stretch, and then it's gonna break.
And another problem you might run it. Sorry, just before you go on, Jeremy, another problem you might run into is at any point along those 2 points that you've attached this thing to, it could get snagged and broken. So all of a sudden you've got you're nice and tight, and then all of a sudden it goes boing, and you go, oh shit, what's happened? And then you walk up and found that someone's run a boat or something over it or something. Anything could happen. But I mean, you could use probably a couple of them lined up. I don't know. What is this stuff? Fishing line or what?
I mean, the lines we're still brainstorming on which line we're going to use. This isn't set in stone yet. The point is, Veach, you got 550 pounds that you could.
But what does that mean? How does that relate to its malleability? Like, how does it relate to the fact that it can stretch?
Well, I mean, like I said, imagine you got a rubber band and you stretch it. It's not gonna.
But if you keep doing that, it's gonna break though.
Yes, but with this line, you can do that.
So when they rate,
when
they rate a rubber band strength, how do they take into account the fact that it can stretch?
I don't know.
Which lowers its ability to be strong. So that's what I'm asking me.
I don't know the amount of test pounds that you can put on a rubber band, but this fishing line, you could do 550 pounds. That's going to make it incredibly tight, I'd have to imagine.
And how much does it weigh? You said it weighs 25 pounds per mile, but you won't say that again. Is that because you don't actually know or what?
No, Moyak posted it. It's in chat. Hold on.
Okay. All right. That's what I'm asking.
Let me see if I can take a picture of it.
You go over the idea on how much the density of the line as well.
I'll repost it in chat. Now, what did you say about the density of the line?
Yeah, I mean, for something to sag or for something to float over water, like how would you calibrate the density of the line?
We're gonna use line. I want to use line that sinks, so we're not worried about the density of it.
And how are you planning to keep the line from sinking deeper and deeper and deeper?
We're gonna be holding it on each end.
Do you think the line will be pushing you guys together to each other?
No, we are stronger than the line is.
Okay. Make sure not to snap the line.
What's up?
I said make sure not to snap the line then.
Yeah, you're gonna need a scale, like one of those scales you use something to measure the amount of pounds, because that way if we buy the 550 pounds, if we buy the 550 pound test line, we're gonna want to make sure we don't put more than probably 500 pounds on it. I'd have to imagine. You don't want to snap it.
You're never gonna do this, man. This is never gonna take place.
Okay.
You're talking about this for over 6 months, man.
Let's get physical, Jeremy. Let's get physical.
Jeremy, I have one for you. You might like to try the carbon fibre that the magicians use. You know, the guys like David Copperfield, the way they make the towels float around. That stuff's carbon fibre. It's about 1/3 the thickness of a human hair, and it doesn't reflect light. And it actually is quite strong and light, but it's going to cost you an arm and a leg, so you're probably
Yeah.
going to need to do an extra shift at work.
3 miles. Hold on a second. Hold on. 3 miles worth of this carbon fiber rope is $6,400.
Well, that's a lot less than the million for the line.
Yeah, but it might as well be $1 million.
Yeah. It's still a waste of money.
No, it's not. No, these guys can do this.
That carbon fiber shit, I looked into it. I mean, there's probably different kinds. This one kind I was looking at has
Some people build model airplanes. Some people fucking put strings in water.
I'm trying to be serious. Stop it.
Yeah,
now this stuff
fair
like
point.
6 of those strands will actually hold the weight of the magician. Got 3 little hook points he hooks it onto when it's dark, and then it actually lifts him off the ground. And that's 1/3 the thickness of a human hair times 6. So that's pretty strong shit, man. I reckon you should get this. $6,400 for how much?
Oh, that sounds better than the line I looked up. It's probably a different line if magicians are using it. You only need a couple feet. The one I looked up was $6,400 for 3 miles.
Jesus, I told you it'd be expensive. Why you just borrow it? Fucking hell, man. No amount of money just to do one fucking experiment.
Well, hang on. Well, Jeremy, for that kind of money, you could go to Antarctica.
Yeah, you could be experiment on the fucking moon for
Yeah,
that.
you could go and like sit in Antarctica for a week when it's got the 24-hour sun, and then go, well, I guess I was wrong.
I'll take you to Atlantis
You
for
missed
that.
the beginning.
Get an education.
You missed the beginning part of the conversation where I explained how no optical observational thing's gonna end this.
So what you think sitting under the sun where it doesn't disappear for like 3 days straight, 72 hours, is not confirmation enough?
Come on, Jeremy.
No.
Really?
I'm telling you right now, no optical.
So even if you were there sitting under the thing for like 72 hours, you wouldn't believe it.
I believe there's a light in the sky for 70. No optical
Right,
thing's gonna
that's
end
it. I'm done with you.
All right. No, I'm telling you right now, no observation or optical thing's gonna end this. You need something tangible.
Everything's observation,
Yeah,
bro.
You guys do realize, though, that
just
this isn't...
stepped
Hold
well
on.
beyond the point of ridiculous with that. Sorry.
You guys realize, though, that this isn't constructive criticism. If you're just going to shut down everything he's going
They
to do...
don't care anymore.
That's not... Yeah, they don't care anymore. I'm just trying
It's
to...
been constructive criticism, and he shits on it, man. You think this is the first fucking day he started on this shit, man?
Probably not.
There's some fairness to that, though, because Babs, I'm on your side. I actually told everyone to stop being so insulting, and I got shut down. And they have the right to say what they want to say, and it is true. I will say this: they have given constructive criticism through the roof. That is true, and it has been mostly ignored.
I've heard the constructive criticism, and I've explained in detail how we would overcome.
No, you haven't. You have dated away.
Okay, give me some constructive criticism on the line that I haven't already addressed.
I don't think it's.
Give me something I haven't already addressed. Anything?